Hey everybody, Livingston here. Today we're jumping into episode 11, season 2, The Night of the Meek. Came out December 23rd, 1960, and it's another episode I haven't watched before, and it looks like it has some kind of holiday flavor going on as well. But before we get started, let's jump into the comments section of last week's episode and see what you had to say about that particular episode. JPD9H217 says, one of my favorite Twilight Zone episodes. Well, that's good. Yeah, I mean, it is a very good classic episode. I remember actually watching it, so if I've seen it, it typically is because it was a classic episode that everybody talked about. Chris Loston says, during my younger years, I stayed with my great-grandmother and aunt while my mom was at work. And needless to say, a lot of what they had on the television was older programming. This episode, as well as a nice place to visit, are my earliest memories of the Twilight Zone. And to this day, both are still some of my favorite episodes. Both episodes were pretty damn creepy by the ending, but still amazing to watch getting there. Yeah, they definitely have a ride in each of these episodes when it comes to the Twilight Zone. You get invested very much so into these characters and into the story itself, and then at the very end, you're either with or against the person that is the antagonist or protagonist of the actual episode. So, I'm loving these episodes more so than actual television today. I mean, there are some good things out there on television today, but the Twilight Zone is just entertainment in its most purest form, because when you look at how the episodes are lined up and how they're written, it's very to the point, very meat and potatoes sort of storytelling, and I enjoy it, and I very much enjoy the episodes where I didn't see the ending coming. Mildred Pierce 4506 says, I love the Twilight Zone. Hey, me too. I'm with you there. Ramona Levine says, as a French speaker, I was wondering what 10 to the power meant from the beginning. I also laughed when they said some crazy foreign writing. Yeah, true. Cool Kid Gaming 93 says, one of the best episodes, period, top 5 for sure. Well, I don't know if it's in my top 5, but it's definitely a good episode for season 2. Definitely enjoying it. He continues on and says, scared the hell out of me as a kid. Had nightmares for years. I can see why. I mean, this is one of those things. Are you fated to be whatever that happens, because the camera takes the photo, and whatever happened in that photo is typically what happens in the actual future, and everything comes true. There's never a photo that falters, so it makes you wonder, one of those episodes that, are we fated to be in this certain situation, or do we have free will? I don't know. In that episode, not so much free will. Nene's hubby says there's a number of Twilight Zone episodes about addictive gambling in the plot or subplot. In the episode The Fever, the husband falls out of the window to his death as well. Yeah, that's true. I think I even pointed that out in that last episode in The Fever. It's like everybody just keeps falling out of windows in these episodes. So, Fran8 says there's an indie movie called Time Lapse with the same premise. 3 friends discover a camera that takes pictures of the future that they use to bet on the races. It's a fun watch. I believe I've actually seen this movie that you speak of. Let me see who's in it. Time Lapse. Because it does come to mind. I do remember seeing something about this movie. But it came out in 2014. And it has George Fenn, Danielle Panabaker, Matt O'Leary's in it as well. And I do remember it because of Danielle Panabaker. If you don't know who she is, she's also in The Flash. She played the character. I'm trying to remember what character she did play. I can't remember. Frost, I think, or something along those lines. We got Caitlin Snow, but she has a superhero name, and I just can't remember it right now. P Sparks 3419 says, who in their right mind would leave all that cash on the table for the room service dude to see? Those criminals were just plain dumb. Fun episode, though. Yeah, I mean, plus that guy kind of just barged on in, didn't he? I mean, it's kind of strange that he didn't stand outside of the door, but, I mean, to let the episode kind of continue on and to get to where they wanted to get to at the very end, I mean, they'd let him in. But, I'm with you there. I just don't understand why they would let that money out for all to see. Mildred Pierce actually comes back and says there were a lot of illogical things that took place in this show, as well as in movies and television at that time. Yeah, true. Sometimes you had to kind of cheat to get to the plot points and just didn't think about the plot holes. I guess it all just depends, you know. Garbage Day 587, Garbage Day. It's a movie reference, very cheesy movies. I think it's considered one of the worst movies of all time, but I can't remember the name of Garbage Day. But good name there you got. On the camera, it says Dix à la propriété. I can't speak French, which in English translates to 10 to the owner, which means only 10 pictures you can take with it. This is true, and they actually bring that up in the actual episode. That's it for the comment section of last week's episode, but let's jump into this week's episode and see what you had to say. But don't forget to like, share, and subscribe while you're at it, and continue on to episode 156 of the Twilight Zone. We're getting close to the halfway mark when we get past this season and into season 3, so I don't know, maybe 20 more episodes until we're at halfway. It's kind of crazy that I started this maybe a year and a half ago and we're still chugging along. So anyways, thanks for tuning in, and thank you for commenting as well. I really appreciate it, and let's keep on trucking with the next episode.
The Twilight Zone.
Jingle all the way, broke his wheel and Joker got away. Hey! Only got like 7 more months left before Christmas, or 5, depending on when those retail stores like to start throwing that stuff down your throat in October. This Santa's seen better days.
Hey, you told me to tell you when it was 6:30. It's 6:30.
That's right. It's exactly 6:30. I'll have another one.
You owe me for 6 drinks and a sandwich. That's $3.80.
Whoa, pretty cheap. I mean, I know back then things didn't cost as much, and $3 went a hell of a long ways. Santa! Hi, kids.
Why do you suppose there isn't really a Santa Claus?
How's that?
Why isn't there a real Santa Claus?
Because there just isn't, man.
What am I supposed to be? Some kind of philosopher?
You're a bartender.
You let that dopey red suit go to your head. What are you, some kind of a nut?
It's one of those characters you just don't know if he'll have a good or bad ending. I kind of hope that this guy ends up seeing the light and becomes a better person by the end of this episode.
Hello, Jack's place. No, Jack's not here. This is Bruce. Santa Claus, I catch you trying that one more time, I'm gonna break both your arms up to the shoulder blades.
Yeah, it's cheaper if you go to a liquor store. Look at all that asbestos back out there. Santa!
Please, Santa, I want a carriage and a dolly. Please, I want a gun and a playhouse, a job for my daddy. Please, a big turkey for our Christmas.
Oh, man. This guy's losing it.
This is Mr. Henry Corwin, normally unemployed. But in just a moment, Mr. Henry Corwin, Ursad's Santa Claus, will enter a strange kind of North Pole, and one part the magic that can only be found in the Twilight Zone.
Well, this is a Christmas episode. They gotta end it on a good note, right? Santa!
You're an hour late.
I actually recognize that guy. It was John Fiedler. He actually did the voice of Piglet from Winnie the Pooh.
Mom, Santa Claus is loaded.
I am ashamed.
Come on, Percival.
Madam,
Percival?
There's some trouble here, madam.
Oh, yes, there's some trouble. It seems you hire your Santa Clauses out of a gutter.
All right, back.
Shouldn't have gotten drunk.
And now, Mr. Kris Kringle of the lower depths, that there is no more need for your services. You have had it. Now get out of here and get that crummy red suit back to wherever you rented it from. You're drunk.
But what are you gonna do?
thank you very much, Mr. Dundee. This is indefensible, and you have my abject apologies. I can either drink or I can weep. Drinking is so much more subtle.
How philosophical, Mr. Corwin. You can tell us how we can go about living up to these wondrous Yule standards.
I don't know how to tell you, Mr. Dundee. I'm an aging relic of another time where the only thing that come down the chimney on Christmas Eve is more poverty.
Well,
Jeez, just leave it alone, man.
Another reason why I drink, Mr. Dundee. I can really think it's the North Pole and children are elves and that I'm really Santa Claus bringing them a bag of wondrous gifts for all of them. I just wish, Mr. Dundee, on one Christmas that I could see some of the hopeless ones. I'd like to see the meek inherit the earth, and that's why I weep.
Oh, he's finally leaving. Santa, don't go. All the kids following him out. I really don't know where this is going.
Hey, look.
Santa Claus, there's Santa Claus.
Hey, Santa.
Get lost. Get out of here.
Merry Christmas.
Does he have any money to buy a booze, or is he poor? No place to go. Bells ringing. I didn't realize Santa Claus was Art Carney. Just finally dawned on me who he was.
Merry Christmas, everybody! Merry Christmas, everybody!
Merry Christmas!
To the world has come, the earth will ring.
No one's singing the words. Yeah, I think they're all drunk.
What's the idea of coming in here and disrupting the Christmas Eve service?
I ain't touched a drop since last Thursday.
Why you're slurring your words?
Santa Claus is coming down the street, heading this way, and bringing everybody his heart's desire.
She's familiar to me too. That's actually Meg Wiley. She was on the last Starfighter. She played Granny Gordon. It's funny how all these people look very like I've seen them before, and then I go and look them up, and I'm like, oh yeah, there's that character.
Where did you get all these gifts?
I'm just as much in the dark as anybody else. And as long as it's putting out, I'm putting in. Sister Florence, how about a new dress? Give that to Sister Florence when she comes back.
What do you want? A cane?
There's your line.
I wouldn't leave the bag sitting around.
Officer, Merry Christmas. Of course I'm drunk. I'm intoxicated with the spirit of the Yule. Drunk with the spirit of the Yule. I'm inebriated with joy and delight. Yes, officer, I'm drunk.
You got a receipt for this stuff?
No.
Please collect all the stolen goods and put them in a pile over there. I'll send for them when I check on who owns them.
Officer, let me tell you how this whole thing started. I'd say it was about 4:30 in the afternoon when I got there. Jack wasn't there, but Bruce was.
So I know Bruce. Thank you.
I had a sandwich that I couldn't finish.
Here he is, and here we are, and there that is.
How nice to see you again, Mr. Dundee.
You suppose he can get as much as 10 years?
Of course, they could lap off a few months if he was to tell them where the rest of the loot was.
There seems to be a slight discrepancy here.
The wholesale theft of thousands of dollars worth of goods is not a slight discrepancy. I perceived that criminal glint in your eye the first minute I laid eyes on you. I'm not a student of...
This bag doesn't know whether to give out gifts or garbage.
All kinds of stuff. Toys, gifts, anything.
Oh, I admit it. But it seems to me the essence of our problem is that we're dealing with a most unusual bag.
Well, can you check to see if there's actually anything stolen from the store?
Oh, Mr. Dundee.
We're dealing with the supernatural here.
Go ahead, Corwin. I fancy a bottle of cherry brandy, vintage 1903.
Is he going to pull it out?
Full of garbage
Mr.
that was
Dundee
found by
is like Dundee.
There you go.
Merry Christmas to both of you.
Dundee from Santa.
You need one.
1903. What a year.
Right here.
Electric train engine.
Electric train engine. There it is.
I want a dolly.
You want a dolly.
I want a toy, please.
A toy? Why? Oh, I've got one here for you. And a toy dog for you.
Thanks. Are you out? At least you were giving it away. You know, that's good. He's not a bad guy. Just on dark times. At least you got a taste of being Santa.
Well, I think I've had the nicest Christmas since the beginning of time.
Nothing for you, nothing for yourself, not a thing.
He doesn't need anything.
I can't think of anything I want. What I really wanted is to be the biggest gift giver of all time. I think I had that tonight. I think I'd wish I could do this every year.
Be Santa.
It'd be some gift, wouldn't it, Bert? Oh, sure would. God bless you, Bert, and Merry Christmas to you.
Thanks for the smoking jacket and the pipe.
Don't mention it.
I'd still carry that bag with me. You never know if it might fill up again. Is it... It's a sleigh? Is there a reindeer? There are reindeer. So does he become the new Santa?
We've been waiting quite a while for you, Santa Claus.
An elf.
Oh, no.
I said we've been waiting quite a while for you, Santa Claus.
You have?
We've got a year of hard work ahead of us to get ready for next Christmas. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oi.
Going home, Officer Flaherty?
Going home, Mr. Dundee. And you?
Going home, officer. This is the most remarkable Christmas Eve I've ever had.
And here's the way to cap it off. By seeing Santa flying overhead.
I could have sworn that
You might report me for drinking on duty.
Now, go ahead. What did you see?
It was Corwin, Mr. Dundee, next to an elf and riding up toward the sky.
Do you believe in Santa now?
You better come home with me, and we'll pour out some hot coffee, and we'll thank God for miracles, Flaherty.
Sounds like a good night.
A word to the wise to all the children of the 20th century, whether their concern be pediatrics or geriatric. In short, there's nothing mightier than the meek. And a Merry Christmas to each and all.
Nice. Well, that was the Night of the Meek. I enjoyed that episode very much so. It has a nice meaning to it. It gave the guy purpose. I actually, at the very beginning, wanted him to have some kind of happy ending, and it turns out he became Santa Claus. He got his Christmas wish. He became the guy that gave out gifts for the rest of his life or forever. I don't know how that works. Maybe it's like Tim Allen where people take it over after you do it for so long, or maybe it's like other Santa Claus movies where it's one guy who does it all the time and has been since the beginning of time. But hey, who knows? But let's jump into some trivia and see what it took to get this episode off the ground. Because of cost overruns, there were 6 consecutive episodes, including this one, that were videotaped and then transferred to 16mm film for TV broadcast and future syndicated rebroadcasts. It saved only about $30,000 for all 6, not enough to justify the loss of depth of visual perspective, which gave those shows an appearance like a live broadcast or like soap operas in that day. This was an experiment for a normally filmed TV show and was basically called a failure. This type of recording was never used again for any more Twilight Zone episodes. Well, that's good. Buck Houghton recalled making this episode, and Mark Scott Zickrey's The Twilight Zone Companion. Once in a while, Rod would have an enthusiasm, he'd say to himself or to Carol or to me or whomever that he particularly liked somebody. There was a Christmas show that we did just because he wanted to see Art Carney play Santa Claus. Well, that's cool. Near the end, Corwin/Santa is sitting on the steps of the missing, talking to the character listed in the credits as simply Old Man. However, he addresses him twice as Bert. The character called Old Man was portrayed by a very familiar character actor, Burt Mustin. What has Burt Mustin also been in, I'm curious? He died back in 1977. He was in a TV series called Date with the Angels, which ran for, I guess, several years. The Lusty Man, The Great Gildersleeve, and quite a few movies, too. He has 203 credits on IMDb. Sister Florence's bonnet bears the legend Savvy Soul. The Savvy Soul mission is the one run by Sister Sarah and Brother Arvide in Guys and Dolls. The title is based upon the biblical quote of Matthew 5:5, "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth." Well, it's a pretty famous one there. A stage musical based on this episode was written by lyrist Patrick Cook and composer Frederick Fryer. It has not been produced because of rights issues. Art Carney and John Fedler would go on to appear on Broadway as Felix Unger and Vinny in the original production of The Odd Couple. Art Carney would later play the role of Santa Claus in the TV film The Night They Saved Christmas, 1984. The department store train display is same one used in The Addams Family. Well, it's probably because it was made around the same time. This episode takes place on December 24th, 1960, but it came out December 23rd. The first of 4 times that Val Avery plays a bartender. The others were Hallelujah Trail, Easy Money, and Identity Crisis. According to the production slate, including in the Blu-ray release, filming began on November 26, 1960. As correctly depicted here, a department store electric train set was once a highlight of the Christmas shopping season, leading to major sales of Lionel and American Flyer trains dating to the 1930s. One such elaborate train layout plays an important role in Holiday Affair, starring Robert Mitchum and Janet Leigh. Well, that's it for this episode. Don't forget to comment down below and let us know your thoughts on this episode. And next week, I will be reading those comments. And until next time, see you later.